Let's talk politics because the PDP is still in the news again, and for obvious reasons, the leadership crisis is continuing to rock the main opposition party in Nigeria, because that meeting from last week that set up the reconciliation committee by Kola Saraki, that will be led by Kola Saraki, is apparently causing a lot more ripples, because the PDP is once again embroiled in yet another internal turmoil as fresh crisis is erupting over the leadership of the party's position for national security, Senator Samuel Anyanwu. Now, this particular situation has escalated following the intervention of the Reconciliation Committee headed by the former Senate President and former Governor of Kwara State, Senator Kola Saraki. Key stakeholders, including the PDP governors and the Board of Trustees, have openly rejected Anyanwu's continuous stay in office, setting the stage for a major showdown that threatens to further destabilize the main opposition party, which, by the way, has many other troubles to deal with in terms of what may happen in the build-up to 2027. So let's talk to somebody who understands the drama, the scheming that is happening behind the scenes. Join us virtually to add value to this conversation is Kola Ologbondiyan, the former National Publicity Secretary of the PDP. He joins us virtually for this conversation from his residence in Abuja. Mr. Kola Ologbondiyan, thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak. Good morning to you. I'd just like to start.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with the latest development there. What, in your understanding, is the reason why this reconciliation committee is attempting to sell the idea of keeping Senator Anyanwu in office? We obviously heard from the Southeast Forum of the PDP, where the stakeholders pretty much said, listen, if the PDP maintains Senator Anyanwu as the National Secretary, there's a very good chance that the Southeast zone of the PDP, under the leadership of the various stakeholders, would leave the party. So how did we get here for the PDP?
Okay, I like every other, like most of the party members, I find this strange that the Senator Kola Saraki's committee came up with the idea of returning Senator Samuel Anyanwu as the National Secretary. It's totally and absolutely strange to me that it came by that conclusion. But having said that, I want to say that the matter has since moved from that stage because I'm aware that the National Working Committee of the party, as recent as yesterday, has resolved that it will stand by the decisions reached at its 600th meeting, where they declared that Satonji Kosedo, who is the Deputy Secretary, and the only Deputy Secretary recognized by the Constitution of the party, to remain as acting National Secretary. So as such, I think that the party has returned to the path of progress, because what it means is that the party has stood by its earlier decision as taken at the 600th end of the National Working Committee meeting, and that the Deputy National Secretary will act pending the nomination of the South-South replacement for Senator Anyanwu. That's my understanding of the situation thus far.
And talk to me about the two sides involved in this infighting. Because we understand that there are forces, strong forces, like the FCT minister in the corner of Senator Anyanwu, who, by the way, if we have to go by the official records of INEC, is still regarded as the National Secretary of the PDP. And on the other side, you have the governors, you have the Board of Trustees, you have a whole lot of other people that do not want him in that position. Do you see a middle ground where these two sides could agree on something that looks like a compromise that allows PDP to move on from this quagmire?
I want to agree with you that the INEC recognized Senator Samuel Anyanwu in the current situation, because the National Working Committee, by its decision at the 600th meeting, had written to INEC and asking INEC to recognize Setonji Kusedu as the acting National Secretary. And the decision of NWC was predicated on their own meeting, the 600th meeting, consequent upon which it has written to INEC. And INEC has not only acknowledged that letter from the party, it has also directed its officers to treat that letter. And like we speak, as at this moment, it is a Setonji that is recognized, going by the letter that was written, copies of which I have seen, and which INEC acknowledged and is also treating. So, having put that aside, well, you spoke about the angles in the matter. Well, the FCT minister and former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, has never hidden his position and support for Senator Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary. But the body charged with responsibility in this situation is the National Working Committee. And the National Working Committee has taken the decision that, look, by our own decision, we are recognizing Setonji pending when NEC will meet and will submit a recommendation for ratification. So this is my own understanding, and I think that's in order. It's in the course of the constitution of the party.
All right, I just wanted to share a picture. I'm not sure if you consider this relevant, because as things stand right now, you head over to the INEC website and you go and click on PDP. This is what you're going to see, and we're going to try to show this particular image on the screen right now in just a moment. But this is what it shows. It does show that they recognize Ambassador Iliya Damagun as acting national chairman of the PDP, and in the column for the national secretary, you still have Senator Samuel Naimeka Anyanwu. I mean, is there a communication from INEC that they are working on, what the PDP has submitted to them, or are you just, being presumptuous that they are going to accept this?
Well, you know that you must agree with the fact that on issues concerning sites, it requires upgrading. So it's not impossible that the decision of the party, which has been communicated to INEC, which INEC had complied with, and is even treating letters from the acting national secretary, has not been upgraded on that particular platform. So that's left for INEC to decide. But let us agree, and it's a fact, that INEC will not choose for any political party, including the People's Democratic Party, who its officers shall be. It cannot. And I don't know whether you're also conversant with the fact that yesterday, I read in the Tribune of a civil society organization challenging INEC on this particular issue, that it must recognize the officials of the party as recommended or as decided by the party.
I mean, yeah, so do you understand how confusing it looks for people to head over to the official INEC website and realize that no changes have been made? And PDP's internal wranglings is not necessarily unique. There are many other political parties who are facing the same thing. Do you think the electoral umpire itself is not helping matters if it doesn't make public statements about some of these leadership squabbles? I mean, you did have the Supreme Court verdict that pretty much looks like a victory for Senator Anyanwu. Doesn't that explain why INEC is reluctant to, publicly make certain statements that affirms what the PDP wants to be done?
The Supreme Court did not. The Supreme Court did not give credence to either Senator Anyanwu or Ude Okoye, by the understanding that I got from the People's Democratic Party. The PDP says and clearly stated that it is a victory for the party, because the party now has the liberty to determine its own affairs. And it's only through the working committee, as the situation is today, that the party can determine its affairs. And the resolution of the PDP is that Setonji should continue in acting capacity, pending where the South is, will nominate a replacement. So, as a party man, I abide by the decision of the working committee.
We understand that by the end of the month, towards the end of the month, probably next week or so, the NEC meeting is scheduled to hold, right? If last-minute changes don't happen, because we've seen the NEC meeting being pushed around in terms of postponements, what do you think are the top 3 agendas that the NEC meeting should address, especially considering the current economic climate in the country?
As we speak presently, the decision of what comes to NEC will be taken by the National Working Committee. And any individual who is talking about what to come before the National Executive Committee is just expressing personal views and personal opinions. So we wait for the National Working Committee to bring the agenda to NEC where decisions will be taken. But lest I forget, you also raise an issue about the disposition of the Independent National Electoral Commission concerning decisions of parties. I think that the INEC is more or less like a moderator, and I don't think that it should impose its own views on parties, particularly where such a political party has taken a decision in respect of its own internal activities. I don't think that INEC should now begin to change from A to B or from B to A and what have you. I don't think that shows it that is as independent as its name denotes.
Yeah, but a lot of people would say we pretty much rely on the INEC for unofficial information about party leadership, because it is the only regulator when it comes to the activities of political parties in the country. But I do take your point on that one. Let's switch gears now and talk about what is still fueling this internal crisis in the PDP. Last week, the FCT minister, which has been, I don't know, some people consider him protagonist, some people consider him the antagonist in the story, talked about the PDP and its fate ahead of 2027. It says for the party, it has to be very clear about where the ticket goes to in 2027, and he's ruling out the North. That's the reason why I asked that question earlier. And do you consider that that is a top priority for the NEC or for the leadership generally to consider zoning the ticket ahead of 2027?
Well, to be honest with you, the disposition of the FCT minister, like I've said on other platforms, is normal in the party. It's a narrative. People will come up with all sorts of narratives. There are people who will come out and say, no. The presidency has to be zoned to the North. He has said it should be zoned to the South, but there will be views about the North. There will be views about even microzoning that position. Some people will say, no. Even if we go to the Yes, we can go to the South, but when we go to the South, we must go to the Southeast. Some people say, no, we must go to the Southwest. Some people say, no, we will go to South. It's the same way when it goes to the North. There will be agitations about where to microzone to. So these are narratives. The party will have to come down to take a decision on where it will zone the presidential ticket to. And until that is done, everybody has the right to agitate for his or her own belief.
And if we have to, circle back to the reconciliation committee that former governor of Kwara State and former Senate President Bukola Saraki is heading, you look at the task ahead of it and the objectives considering the challenges right now. There are warring factions or parties within the PDP that don't see eye to eye on a variety of issues. Some say this is a suicide mission or one that is doomed to fail, regardless of who is leading it or who is heading it. How realistic are the objectives of this reconciliation committee, considering the gravity of the challenges that PDP faces?
Well, I think one thing that we need to understand is that the Saraki's committee is more or less like a special purpose vehicle defined to work towards ensuring that the party has a rancor-free National Executive Committee meeting and also has a rancor-free national convention. Because as you know, or as it's in the public domain, the party has an established National Reconciliation Committee chaired by former Governor Ologbondiyan. So the purpose of this committee is to work towards ensuring that the party can have a harmonized neck and also a harmonized national convention. But coming to whether it can achieve purpose, that's why that's why I said from the beginning that it's amazing to me that the committee can come up and just say that, oh, Anyanwu has to return to the office without discussing with the National Working Committee members or the leadership of the party as represented by the National Working Committee. I think there is a breakdown there, and I think that to even move forward, that needs to be reconciled. But like I said earlier on, even as recent as yesterday, the National Working Committee members met from the information available to me and took a decision that is abiding by the resolutions that were approved at the 600th meeting of the National Working Committee.
Right, and just to go back to the point I made earlier about the South-South stakeholders, right? You look at their statement in adopting the PDP Governors Forum's recommendations, where pretty much the governors threw their weight behind Ude Okoye, right? And their threat to leave the party if, the party leadership does not abide by some of these recommendations. How real is this threat? I mean, we obviously see that the PDP is losing a lot of ground in places that many would consider historical strongholds of the PDP, especially in the South-South and in the Southeast. Do you worry that this unanswered question about who is the authentic National Secretary of the PDP could snowball into something bigger, seeing PDP lose more grounds in the southern part of the country?
Well, I read and I listened to the communique of the Southeast geopolitical zone of the People's Democratic Party. And I think that is an expression of anger because the issue of they were on their own. The party said, oh, okay, Spentaya was going to run election, or bring a replacement. They went and brought a replacement. And since then, it's been neither here nor there. So the zone came together, nominated a replacement. Allow the replacement to assume office, it became a problem. To allow the replacement to assume office became a problem. And now the zone is making a declarative position that, look, if you will not adopt our candidate that we have nominated to the party, then it's as good as telling us that we should leave the party. And like rightly observed, I have said it from the beginning, and I will not depart from it, that the leadership, the kind of leadership that Ambassador Ilyasu Umar Damagum is providing the PDP will not take the party to anywhere. You may not want to hear it, but that is the truth as I understand it. And consistently, we have run from one crisis as a political party to the other. So much that even as we speak today, people are leaving the party. Governors are defecting. And yet, you know what is right. But for reasons best known to those people, they don't want to do what is right. If the NWC, which has the power even to remove Damagum as national chairman, is saying that, look, we have had enough of this particular member. We do not want him any longer. His zone has brought in a replacement. We are going to adopt that replacement. What is the difficulty? Why can't people make sacrifice? If there is honesty of purpose, because that is another issue as far as I am concerned. Are we indeed honest as members of the same political party? Are we being fair to each other as members of the same political party? It is the same problem in the North Central, where a nomination ought to have come as a replacement for for Dr. Yocha Ayu. And to this moment, the party had dilly-dallied. And I kept telling them, I kept warning, this will lead the party to nowhere. Ambassador Ilyasu Damagum will lead this party to nowhere. And it has started happening. If you look at the issue of Anambra election, for PDP to even get one I mean, a singular aspirant, it has to bring down the cost of its form. It has to reduce the cost of its form. So where is the leadership taking the party to?
Right.
Anambra, that when we have election in Anambra, the party will not have nothing less than 10 aspirants. In the current situation, we have only one, and to even get that one aspirant, we have to bring down the cost of the form. So to me, it's very, very disturbing. The situation is really, really disturbing. And it looks like there is a deliberate attempt to kill the People's Democratic Party.
Right. Okay. As you can imagine, while Nigerians are still giving their commentary on developments within the polity, your rivals are looking with keen interest at some of the developments within the party. And this is what the APC Publicity Director, Bala Ibrahim, had to say to journalists about the reconciliation efforts and what's happening on the other side of the aisle. He said, quote, "No doubt the PDP is a dead party that is resisting to rest in the grave. The party is dead. No amount of cosmetics will revive it. It is dead. So the mandate of Saraki's committee is dead on arrival. There is nothing meaningful that can be achieved because the party is dead. They should admit and acknowledge the meaning and position of change in politics. PDP has an idea whose time has passed. It cannot be revived through cosmetics. The people have lost confidence in the party. The people will not do anything to change their position. The best thing is for the party to accept defeat and surrender." How much of that is just political rhetorics and how much of that is a fair reflection of what's happening in your party?
I like your choice of words, political rhetorics, and that is what it is. While we do not deny the fact that the People's Democratic Party is challenged, it is not in the place of the All Progressives Congress to now come and analyze or come and describe the situation in the People's Democratic Party, because the challenge within the APC is even bigger than what's happening in the People's Democratic Party. And they will see it very soon. What I have observed, and this is very personal to me, what I have observed is that it looks like the polity will undergo a resetting ahead of the 2027 election. And APC might not know this, but it will soon come to realize it. I want to leave it at that.
And do you see the party resetting in time? Because there's a lot of body language, positioning, alignment, and realignment that is happening right now. Do you think your party is going to realign and reset in time to sell Nigerians on what the PDP can do in 2027?
When I spoke about resetting, I wasn't particular about the People's Democratic Party. I was talking on the enlarged scope. I was talking about the national polity and its politics itself. So, and that is the area that I spoke to when I talk about the polity going through a resetting. So it's not about PDP, not as about APC. But I believe, and I've said it severally, there will be implosion in all the political parties. And that is what will lead to the resetting. And it's already happening. It's already happening. It's taking off. It's already happening.
And just on a final note, a lot of concerns about what is actually happening around the political landscape with all the major opposition parties facing what some would consider existential crisis. You see what's happening in the Labour Party, you see what's happening in the PDP, and even a party like the NNPP, for instance, is enmeshed in its own internal affairs challenges. Do you think the opposition in Nigeria, for instance, have fallen short of expectations, so much so that Nigerians are quite disenchanted about the options and the potentials in the build-up to 2027?
Well, it is a deliberate effort by the All Progressives Congress and its government at the federal level to manipulate the process in a manner that there will be no opposition political party to withstand it in the 2027 election. But it's an agenda that will not hold. It's an agenda that will fail. There's nothing that can stop opposition. You may stop individual political parties, but you will not stop opposition from coalescing. It's not possible. It's not practicable. And that's just the reality. The earlier the government accepts it, the earlier its political party accepts it, the better for them. And that's the only way they can even look forward and plan for 2027. When as much as they say, oh, let's push crisis in PDP, let's push crisis in NPP, let's push crisis in Labour Party, and say that, oh, which platform are they going to contest in 2027? Well, the earlier they give themselves the right advice, the better. Nobody can stop the opposition from grouping and from participating in an election.
All right. And on that note, we're going to have to anchor the conversation here. Mr. Kola Ologbondiyan, thank you so much for the analysis. Do appreciate you for joining us on Daybreak this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and thanks for the opportunity.
All right.